Lisa Loving Dalton.
First, before I do anything major, I'm going to actually take my shoes off. Taking my shoes off. Working barefoot. Better sit quick. Please do. How's everybody doing? Good, good, good. Lunch is good, huh? Okay. So, I am very excited to be here today. My subject is power gestures, and it's going to connect us all a little more deeply with many of the things that we've already been exploring during this day. And I'd like to position what we're going to do as something that could be added to your repertoire rather than displacing something. So it would be to build upon all this knowledge. Okay? So, all right. First of all, who here has ever leapt a tall building? How about dodged a speeding train? No one? Gosh, well, how about crashing through a plate glass window on a motorcycle? No one? Well, that's okay. It just teaches us a couple of things. One is that you are all a lot more sane than I am. And two, that these scary things and doing these scary things, which I have done, does not mean that I am without fear. So all of our fears, whether they are fears of physical activity, psychological, emotional, or spiritual conditions, really can be met in an exciting and dynamic way that allows us to be very vital and productive in our lives. And that's our goal today, is to help find out a little bit more about how to empower ourselves and discover a little more about the disempowered state. So how many people here have seen Amy Cuddy's talk, the social scientist, on the TED Talks? It's the second most watched TED Talk about power poses. In that talk, she talks about the idea that a pose, holding a pose for 2 minutes, can actually change all the chemistry in your body and fill you with a certain kind of power. With 43 million people interested in this, what I'm suggesting is that we could take that even further. We could take it not into just a pose that we hold, whose endorphins and impact may fade in due time, but also take it deeper into finding that which disempowers us. So who here would be interested in that, right? So how about if you know Bruce Lipton's work with Belief Becomes Biology, right? So here's the question. So many of us have striven to alter faulty belief systems. Yes? And how many times does it happen that we actually get great information, discover the new belief system, and we retain it, we commit to it, and it lasts until about a week after New Year's? What is it that's going on? Well, if our belief becomes our biology, doesn't it make sense that if we change the belief, we might do well to change the biology? Does that make sense? Every time we begin to move, we walk, we talk, we sit, our posture, our turn, our tempo, our rhythm. These are all results, the patterns, the habits are all results of these years of programming in our biology. And so when we change our mind and we get our mind focused, the moment we begin to move, the moment we sit, turn, twist, walk, we start triggering the old habits and the old energy patterns and the old ways of moving. And so what we want to do is be able to restore the energy patterns that have been eliminated by habit and release the energy patterns in the movement process that have been locked in. The extra ones that we've added that are not helping us, and awaken the sleeping ones that we've allowed to hide in the corners. So we're going to begin, if you guys will, by standing up and doing some what I would call archetypal ones, okay? So if you do this with me, it's right after lunch. It's a great time to take a nap. And this, so let's start with the archetypal I am so sleepy. Just a couple of guidelines here. One is, I'd like you to pretend you're about 2 years old. So how much of a body does a 2-year-old use? All of it, yes. So we're looking at using full body process. You can make sound and everything. But just now, we're going to take you into that tired and sleepy state. Oh, yeah. Whole body. Yeah, that whole body is just really sleepy. Good. And now we're going to take a big inhale, and we're going to imagine we can sort of scoop up some energy, and we're going to give it out. And while we're out there, we're going to imagine we can receive some from the sun. Ah, good. Good. So that's our first little power gesture aerobic today. Now we're going to go to one of the most archetypal conditions. We had a wonderful speaker, Morgana Ray, who talked about our undesired states and owning them. And we're going to embrace that concept, and we're going to go into owning one of the most archetypal conditions. Think of yourself as Adam and Eve, and it is the condition of separation. It is the loneliness. So full body, you can sit down if you want, or just that archetypal loneliness. And now, somehow a force rises up in you, and you reach out and gather and connect with each other. Reach out and feel that connection coming together. Yes, good. Now we're going to do another archetypal condition. It's doubt, and we're going to anchor that up in our head. This is where our doubt often lives. So what do you do when your head is in severe doubt? If you really were a cartoon-sized person, what would you be doing? Doubt. And now what does doubt do? It turns into search, find faith. Find faith. Picture it, imagine it, find faith. Great. And now here's another archetypal one, despair. Where's despair? Where in the body is the despair? We talked a lot about the belly as a power of emotion. Maybe your despair is there. Maybe it's on top of you, weighing you down. And from despair, you are able to reach out to hope. Beautiful. Reach out to hope. And now, it's the cowardly lion. You're really afraid. It's pretty terrifying. It's very scary. And what you do is you dig down into the earth through your will force. Pull up love into courage. It's love focused through the will force. Courage. Good. And now, chaos. Chaos is everywhere. You're completely unfocused. You've got to write that book. You've got to do that thing. You've got 18 things. You've got to pick up the laundry. It's everywhere. And what do? You gather all these pieces. You bring them together, and you focus them. All peak performances come with a unified field of focus. This gesture, gathering everything, right, and focusing it. Excellent. Good job. You guys are doing great. Woohoo! And we're going to do a couple more. You don't have to sit yet, or you can sit and do it in your seat. Keep in mind, each of you has an energy body in addition to your physical body. That's that part of you that is no longer there when your last breath is exhaled, right? You can move that through your imagination. And we know many people who have been in prison for years and practiced their golf game, right? And have trained their body. They have changed their body through their imagination. And so even if you're doing this power gesture on a small level, your energy body can be doing it very largely. Okay? So we want to work with that. Now we're going to go into discord. Fight, horror, things coming at you, the monsters coming at you. What are you doing? Get them away. Whole body, get those monsters away from you and break through, tear through, punch through into victory. Yoo-hoo! Yeah. Excellent. And now, panic. Fear. It seems to move right down the spine. It seems to bring you up off your heels. It seems to cringe in your shoulders. And now you're going to open, and gather the forces of love into you, into your heart. Good job, guys. You can sit down. Good job. Now, in a minute, I'm going to invite us to try to figure out our own personal power gesture. But first, I want to speak a little bit about what's at play here. And I'm so happy to have had so many wonderful speakers lay the groundwork for me. One of the reasons that we don't retain these promises we make is what I just mentioned, that the energy is programmed into every walk and talk. So that's a very important concept to understand, that if the belief affects your biology, then when you adopt a new belief, you want to adopt new biology. And the archetypal patterns that we just did are really classic. We worked with faith, hope, loving, focus, harmony. We've worked with classic doubt, despair, cowardice, chaos, discord. We looked at the monsters and we looked at the virtues. And we found a way to express these in our body. Change is often very scary for us. Finding the will to change and finding the ability to change are two very different things. And one reason that we don't like to change is because we'd rather live with the monster we know than venture out into the unknown. And this process of moving from that monster state, which I would call the trigger, or we might call it the wound, moving from that state, that disempowered state, through a process, an action process, into a victory state, a transformed state, trains our body to become comfortable with the new state, the state we have not experienced. The more we are comfortable with that state, the more we will allow ourselves to live in it for long periods of time. We understand that acknowledging the wound, the pain, is very important. We can go back to the Iroquois. Anyone familiar with the League of Iroquois, the nation? The Iroquois nation had the largest league, unified many of the tribes in North America. And it still reigns today as the law of the land of the Native American in Canada and the United States. And what they do before every single meeting, they begin the meeting with what is known as the Condolence Ceremony. For a grieving mind cannot negotiate. And when we acknowledge our wound to ourselves, we are condoling ourselves. We are allowing ourselves to say, yes, I have a right to this. This is mine. It honors our pain so that we can then go, if we are in that dive, past the surviving process into the thriving process. So this is something that will help deprogram the pain. When you repeat the sequence several times, your personal power gesture, you will start to see after a while that the pain gesture starts to lose its truth. And that's when you know that you're deprogramming it. And as that pain gesture starts to lose its truth, the pathway, the way you get to the transformed win, the dream, your dream come true, becomes more and more familiar and more powerful. And that's the fundamental sequence. So I'd like to take you through a few moments to maybe come up with something you might like to work on. And there will be several steps to this, about 7 or 8. The first step I'm going to invite you to do is to respond to a statement that I'm going to make with the words I am. Okay? That's your line. You're the actors now. Your line is I am. And I'm your partner, and I'm going to say a statement, and you're going to say I am. And when you say I am, I'd love for you to point to yourself. Okay? So go ahead and set your pens, pencils down for a moment so you have your hands free and are comfortable. And I'm going to invite you to close your eyes for this. So ready? Eyes closed? Okay. You're going to point to yourself and say, I am. Who is an amazing person? Go ahead and point to yourself. Let your hand point and move. Yes. And look around. Now open your eyes and look around at where everyone's pointing. So what do you notice? Just about everyone, and I've gotten to do this with people from over 40 countries. Just about everyone points to this part of their body, and you can release that. It falls somewhere right around where this medallion is. Inside there is the sense of you that you are that no one else is. We don't point up here, we don't point down here, we don't point over there, right? We come to this area. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes for a moment and connect with that area. It's like the home of your little Tinkerbell. And the more you acknowledge it and awaken it, it's your own center of source of power. It's your connection to the divine source. And ask from there, what would I like to work on? What hurts? What is the dream unfulfilled? What would be fun to play with, even if you just make it up? That's okay. Good. And when you have it, I'd like you to state it out loud to someone near you or to yourself. And remember, you can make this up, just like, I want to work on loneliness. I want to work on anxiety. I want to work on having a better relationship with my mother-in-law. Whatever it is. My back hurts. It can be anything. It can be small or big. So go ahead and turn to somebody, share that, or make one up. And if you don't want to share, speak it out loud to yourself. That's good. But literally let your voice express it. Yeah, so you can hear it. Good. Now, let's go to the next step, which is, now that we've got this idea, we are going to ask that ideal artistic, that ideal I am center, What would it look like if my dream was fulfilled around this? What would I do if I was 2 years old and a fairy godmother came and tapped you on the head and suddenly you were that? What would it be like? What would you do? And get up and do that. If you got your dream fulfilled, if this problem was fixed, stand up and do it. Or do it from your chair. Go for it. Yeah, got your bestseller. Good job. Go for it. Yeah, make it big. Make it big. A half-done gesture will only work halfway. So that's one of the guidelines, right? You got to really make that gesture good. Okay, now make the gesture if you never got it. That horrible pain, if it never comes, what's inside that hurts? What's inside? Do that, the size of a 2-year-old. You can do it right in your chair. What is it? You can make a sound. Yeah, good. Make it big. Use your feet, too, like a 2-year-old uses their feet. Oh, I'm not getting it. Now, go from that position and find a way. Do you push? Do you pull? Do you lift? Do you gather? Do you smash? Do you penetrate? What do you do to get from this wound? What way do you get to your win? How do you move from your trigger, transitioning into your transformation? And go for it. Do that. Go from the wound, through the way, into the wind. Yes. Awesome, guys. Awesome. So here's the thing. You can use these gestures for all kinds of things. You can take mantras and you can create movements with them. They literally are changing your cellular structure when you welcome these transformations into it. Now, in my book, Falling for the Stars, A Stunt Gal's Tattletales, I talk about a lot of the challenges, in addition to lots of glitter, of my life. How I overcame many, many challenges. But what I didn't talk about was how in college I was raped by a fraternity. And they subsequently published articles trashing me violently. And my esteem fell so low that I accepted a relationship for 4 years with an abusive alcoholic. It was a lot to overcome, a lot. My gesture was, and I will put this down for it, thank you. Moving it through my body allowed me to get into deep areas that I never could have reached. And yet, I could use this. I used this with a board of directors. We were having trouble with the KGB at a conference. They wanted to control the conference. And so we got the board together. We didn't know how to communicate what we wanted. So we created a vision of our objective fulfilled. We, as a group, created just the top part of the gesture and the bottom part, and we agreed as a board to hold this image through the meeting. And we won. We won. And our image was we wanted a win-win situation. We wanted them to walk out with a smile, and we wanted to walk out with control of our conference and a smile. And it worked. So I'm here to let you know that if you've got a simple little issue you need to deal with, or a very, very deep and scary and painful issue, you can train your body to hold the change through your power gestures. The power is yours to awaken in body, in mind, and in spirit. What I sometimes call meta-psychophysiology. Power gestures is just a little bit easier. But every day, you can create a power gesture just expressing how you want your day to go. In the free gift that everyone gets, the MP3s, there's much more detail in the interview and more information on how you can apply these. There's a set of universal gestures and then your specific ones for each specific need. And ladies and gentlemen, may the power be with you.